We often hear the term nanny state, the growing busybodyism of politicians and bureaucrats using the tax-fueled power of government to restrict our lives and choices, and to tell us how to live. Well, a new phenomenon in numerous cities across the U.S. is showing us that nanny statism certainly applies to nanny cities, as their political overlords command no more drive-thrus. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. And remember that stop-motion character from Santa Claus is Coming to Town named the Burgermeister Meisterburger, the fascistic Nazi-like mayor who hated fun and commanded,
"I hate toys, and toys hate me. Either they are going or I am going. And I am certainly not going."
Well, Balin Linekin of Reason reports that cities in at least 4 states appear to see the Burgermeister as an exemplar because they've adopted bans on new drive-thrus. In Minneapolis, which banned new fast food drive-thru windows in August, Today says proponents claim curbing access to even faster food may help aid in reversing urban obesity rates, while also helping to improve road traffic accidents. While I have no idea what an improved traffic accident looks like, the first clause in the previous sentence gets at the heart of the matter. Fast food critics are using fake nutritional and environmental arguments to make it more difficult for consumers to eat fast food. It's enough to kill your appetite for news, but not so fast. Pun intended. Let's make this a happy meal of information. This actually lets us tie a bunch of political, economic, and historical facts together as, yeah, you got it, takeaways. Now, first of all, there's actually a curious fact to learn here. The term bourgeoisie that collectivists like Marx and Rousseau hated so much is actually a term that has its etymological root in Burgess, which in turn is derived from the German Bürger, a man who was essentially a municipal mayor appointed by royal decree in the Middle Ages.
His Honor, Bürgermeister Meisterburger.
Karl Marx lifted the hatred of the landed gentry and burghers, or bourgeoisie, and thrust it onto the business owners and capitalists. So think about that. Not even Karl Marx liked the burghers. Yet politicians in Minneapolis and Los Angeles and elsewhere seem to like behaving like the Burgermeister.
As I suspected, you've broken your funny bone.
Let's think about this for a second. Is it all about paternalism? Well, in fact, one of the few areas where Marx actually had a point was his dislike of how the burghers, or feudal mayors, showered political privilege on friends. And it turns out that this story of city busybodyism opens a drive-through window onto a much larger story. In fact, that story is about cronyism, or what in economics is called mercantilism or rent seeking. It's the attempt by vested interests on a city, state, or national level to gain at consumer or competitor expense. So, on a national level, we have tariffs and taxes and bailouts and regulations that tend to help big established businesses keep their prices higher and block competition. It's seen a lot in what economists call regulatory capture, and it actually goes all the way back to the unconstitutional move by Abraham Lincoln in 1862 to create the U.S. Department of Agriculture. From there, in 1906, D.C. created the clearly unconstitutional Bureau of Chemistry, which was renamed the Food and Drug Administration in 1930, and they have been playing favorites and playing the cronyism game ever since. In fact, you know that story that we hear in school about how Upton Sinclair's great story, The Jungle, exposed dirty meat plants, and that the work of the U.S. government helped clean up those evil meat plants? Well, that's actually bogus. In fact, great economist Murray Rothbard wrote all about how cronyism and mercantilism actually were at play here. Unfortunately for the myth, The drive for federal meat inspection actually began more than 2 decades earlier and was launched mainly by the big meat packers themselves. The spur was the urge to penetrate the European market for meat, something which the large meat packers thought could be done if the government would certify the quality of meat and thereby make American meat more highly rated abroad. Not coincidentally, as in all Colbertists, that's Jean-Baptiste Colbert, who was the economic advisor to French King Louis XIV, mercantilist legislation over the centuries, a governmentally coerced upgrading of quality would serve to cartelize, to lower production, restrict competition, and raise prices to the consumers. It furthermore socializes the cost of inspection to satisfy consumers by placing the burden upon the taxpayers instead of on the producers themselves. Yes, indeed, U.S. bureaucrats helped big meat producers block lower-price upstarts and created propaganda to help sell their products overseas. And we see this over and over and over again, with contemporary examples such as the battle between cigarette makers and vape producers, and even the food pyramid, which was highly influenced by lobbyists for, yeah, you got it, the corn and grain industries. So, what can we take away from this story? Well, it's not just paternalism at work here, as bad as that is. It's actually cronyism, mercantilism, and history comes into play as well.
Goodbye, good luck, and good riddance.
So, wanted to let you know about that. Thought I would share that. Think about the Burgermeister, who's just a fantastic character, and pass on the information. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the little bell, and share these as much as possible. And if you can, go over to MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org, the website, because there's so much more happening that oftentimes people don't get the opportunity to see. Head there, check it out, and share from there as well. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.